Welcome back. I was explaining to you the experience of Paul during the journey and where Paul had problems. Paul spoke about the people who listened to him, and Paul said the blessings of Jesus is given to all. It implied that even the Greeks, the Gentiles would receive this, which made the Jews protest. And they protested, and the Sanhedrin was there. He actually said to the Sanhedrin, he said, "You are whitewashed tombs." The Jews had the custom of whitewashing a tomb so that by chance, if you touch a tomb, you become ritually unclean, and therefore they will whitewash the tombs so that no one will touch it even by chance. All this was done in front of the Pharisees and the Sadducees gathered together with the Sanhedrin. All the discussion about the resurrection of the dead was always an endless discussion, and the council actually was split between the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and therefore the council ended in that way without taking any particular decision. The following night, Paul had a vision. The Lord stood by him and told Paul, "Paul, be courageous. As you have testified for me in Jerusalem, so you must bear witness to me in Rome also." This is in Acts 23:11 onwards. Meanwhile, some 40 Jews had formed a plot against Paul to kill him. They had made a vow not to eat or drink anything till Paul is killed. Paul's nephew, Paul's sister's son, came to know about this plot, and he told Paul about this plot. And Paul told the centurion, asked him to take that young man to the commander. The young man was taken to the commander. The commander was actually Felix, and the commander asked the young man, "What message have you got to give me?" He said, "I got this message that there is a plot against Paul, and therefore Paul must be protected." Now the governor found out that Paul is from Cilicia, and therefore the case will be taken up when the governor is in Cilicia the following day. And they gathered in the praetorium. The Roman government, for your information, was not in Jerusalem but in Caesarea, and that is where this meeting was. The praetorium is the residence of a governor. The praetorium was a huge structure and was a palace built by Herod the Great for the sake of the governor. Paul told the people gathered that he is a disciple of Ananias. Ananias, who taught him the Bible, and there were many elders in the meeting, and Paul began to defend his case. His case was very simple. He said, "I am in the chains because of my faith, my belief in what Moses has said." With that, the governor Festus did not take a decision. It was difficult for him to take a decision because he said, about this religious faith of the Jews, I am not an expert. I am not able to take a decision. So I will refer the case to Jerusalem. Paul said, I appeal to Caesar. I appeal to Caesar. Caesar should decide about me. And actually, the governor then said, okay, you are appealing to Rome. I will send you to Rome at the earliest possible. King Agrippa was there. Queen Bernice was there. All the leaders were there. And they listened to all this. So the case was referred to Caesar. And there in Rome, his case will be taken up. This is the reason why Paul travels to Rome. Often there are people who question, why are we called Roman Catholics? The center of Roman Catholicism was in Rome only because Paul, now as a prisoner, appeals his case, refers his case to Caesar, and the governor in Judea, in Caesarea, allows that. They had to. If a prisoner appeals to Rome, then that appeal stands. And they have to do everything possible to take the prisoner to Rome and refer the matter, refer the case to Caesar. And that made Paul travel to Rome. The journey of Paul to Rome was another one with so many incidents. Paul starts in a ship with a whole group of prisoners, and all the prisoners were put in charge of a commander called Julius, who belonged to the emperor's regiment, and they sailed past Sidon. The wind was unfavorable. They could not proceed, and they waited for some time, reached the island of Crete, and the ship was being tossed up and down in the waves, and people thought that is the end of their life. Many thought of perhaps escaping from there. Paul asked the commander, the army officer, see that the sailors do not escape. If they escape, we are doomed. And there were about 276 sailors, and the ship was being simply tossed up and down in the waves. They saw an island, they saw a beach, so they moved in that direction. They thought that would be a safe place. But then it was a shallow area, and the ship went aground. There was a sand hill. The ship will actually get stuck up there. One part, half of the ship was floating, half was aground. The greatest risk was all the sailors, passengers, prisoners. Finally, the commander asked the people who can swim to swim and reach the area. And they reach the land. The others are asked to get a hold of some plank or something and reach the land. They found that was Malta. We'll stop for this. May God bless you.